like many things in life and in our society, you know, cancer seems to be unfair to the people with the least amount of resources. And I think this data certainly shows you why what I mean by that. So if you look at this graph, you can see stage one, stage two, stage three, and stage four cancer, right? And so what you'll notice in stage one is the people diagnosed with stage one cancer are predominantly, or the highest degree of them, have private insurance, right? And so we will argue for the sake of this conversation that that is because they have the best preventative care, right? And that means that they are getting regular screenings and they're identifying cancer early, um, which is good for them. But maybe not so good for some of the other folks. When I look at Medicare, a great deal of people on Medicare are on Medicare Advantage plans, maybe over 50% now. So, those people as well, they're very much like private insurance. If you're on one of those types of plans, if you're on traditional Medicare, you're incentivized to get uh, higher amounts of preventative care, that you don't pay for it. Generally, Medicare takes care of that. So, hopefully orange that orange bar will certainly start to look more like like the other bars, but there are a number of seniors who are on the economic, who are not, who are just getting by. And so, that orange bar is sort of divided between, unfortunately, between those who have resources and those who do not. Now, when you get into Medicare, Medicaid, those are people that we consider sort of dual entitled to health care. And they have a good amount of access to private health care through Medicaid. And so, you would expect them to be fairly consistent with the Medicare folks, and have more access to care. Now, as we get kind of down into the yellow and the blue, you will notice that the blue, yellow, and the blue, those people who are purely on Medicaid, and those people who have no insurance whatsoever. So, I think when we talk about stage one, it makes sense to kind of look at those, how that all kind of came together. Stage two kind of says, that you didn't get early detection. Your cancer has evolved to some degree, and you can start to see that things have kind of evened out a little bit. Maybe the private insurance and the Medicare have a slight advantage. Um, but because it's being caught earlier, but as you move into stage three and four, you start to see that the private insured and Medicaid are quite low. But when you get into Medicaid and uninsured, pure Medicaid and uninsured, which is both of those are very low, tend to be kind of lower income, lower resource groups. They make up the lion's share of the diagnoses. So they're at stage four. They have probably the least resources, and yet they have probably the toughest battle with cancer to fight, right? They are dealing with a cancer that most likely is pretty far evolved, and very difficult to resolve, right? And so, it's unfortunate. I think the thing I would take away from all of this is that, if you don't have the right access to care, um, I think the first thing and foremost, anyone who's on private Medicaid, private insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, and Medicaid really has equal access to care. They might have to be more self-aware and pursue that care. But we are all very hopeful that people can identify it earlier in the process. Um, the one group who sort of sits out of all of this is the uninsured. They really have the most difficult time getting to resources. So, hopefully, you take a look at this, and what I hope that you take away from this is, you need to do preventative screening, right? If there's one thing that you have to kind of make sure that you make time to do, and that is all the screening necessary to ensure that if you are ultimately diagnosed, that you're diagnosed early, so that you have options. And if you have options, then your outcomes are more likely to be improved.